So let's continue. We'll now move to our second panel where we will give the floor to the 5 NGO team leaders who have been working with us over these 3 years. And as you will see, it's really where we are going. We are leaving the kind of securitization discussion we had in the morning, going really back going to the ground level, the grassroots level, and all the communities' activities. And that's where we are coming with a really more positive narrative about all the many great actions that these NGOs are doing in the region. So we have 5 countries, as you know, and we will give the floor to each of the 5 NGOs. We will begin with India, and I will now give the floor to Lisa Shipek, Executive Director of Watershed Management Group, so both India and US.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me here today. And I'm actually here in place of Soumya Somnath, who is Watershed Management Group's representative in India. She's been working with the India team over the last few years, and she just had a baby girl about a week ago, and so she wasn't able to come. So she asked if I could make it. I am based in Tucson, Arizona, and our organization actually was founded in Tucson about 10 years ago. A lot of our work is based in the US. We have been doing work in India over the last 5 years with Soumya Somnath and her husband Jared Bono. And we also have done some work in Africa, and then also quite a bit near the US border in Mexico. So I'm going to share a little bit of the work from India, and then I'm also going to tell a little bit of my story about water in Arizona. And from the earlier, our first speaker, you saw all those maps of water stress. Where I live in an area of high water stress, high water scarcity, so I wanted to share a little bit of that story and might have some ideas to share that you can take back home as well. So this picture here is taken in a village near Panchgani in Maharashtra region of India, and I was there in 2012 visiting Soumya and Jared, seeing some of the latrines and composting toilet projects that they were working on. It's an example of the type of project that we do, and that is helping build capacity of local families to in water and sanitation projects. Composting toilets in India are mostly capacity around having a sanitation option. I'm going to be talking about composting toilets a little bit in the US, which is a very different look. But during about a few years there in India, we helped install 175 toilets with families, and the model in which we did that is helping with the design and use of the toilet, but the materials, the cost of that toilet came from the families themselves, so they were contributing to that, and a lot of the project has to do with the use of the toilet over time, because a lot of times these systems are installed and they're not designed to meet their needs, and then they don't end up using them. So here's just one of the examples of the composting toilets installed. Quick switch over to, this is a photo of where I'm from, Tucson, Arizona. We are near the Mexico border, southwest part of the US. Just so you can get kind of a mental image of what our city looks like. It is in the desert. Here's a composting toilet that was built in Tucson. At the same time as we were doing these projects in India, we were also building composting toilets in Tucson. And the reason we're building composting toilets in Tucson is for water conservation. Pretty much everyone has access to flush toilets, but we have very limited water, and so composting toilets is a way to really reduce our water demand. This example here is a site-built system that's a lot less expensive than the commercial varieties that are available. And so this is a pilot program we were doing in the city. I have one of these at my house that I use every day, actually. A picture of some of the folks that families we installed these toilets with, and we were doing a study also on their use and helping make sure that the systems meet their need and that they're able to use these toilets over time.
These are separate structures.
They are. They can be inside the house as well. Watershed Management Group is an educational institution, and so learning how to engage people at all ages is a big part of what we do. We recently published a book called Poo to Peaches, and it's a composting toilet book for children based on the composting toilet design we have in Tucson. This is available on our website for free download. You can also purchase the book. And so this is just an example of how meeting people where they are, educating, and making it really fun for people. Our mission for the organization, we develop and implement community-based solutions for the long-term prosperity of people and the environment. And we provide people with the skills, knowledge, and resources for sustainable livelihoods. Here's a picture of Soumya, who is based in India. And we've got a tippy tap there, which is a simple hands-free hand-washing device. You probably all have had some exposure to that. Raise your hand if you've used or have a tippy tap. Okay, great. I have one at my house too, so I get to use one every day. So a tippy tap is, like I mentioned, a hands-free hand-washing device. It's basically it's with materials that anyone can find, so it's just some tree limbs and a plastic jug and some soap on a rope. And you can't see it all here, but I have another picture that I'll show later that shows how it works. But you fill the container with water, and then there's a little lever for your foot that you use to divert the water onto your hands so you don't have to contaminate the water when you're washing your hands. Here in the middle is a picture of Jared. This is with one of the villages near Panchgani. An example of our watershed work. We worked with about 15 villages around Panchgani to help with watershed health, restoring springs for water supply. And this would be a typical example of who Jared might meet with to design some of this. But what we really were doing was trying to push the envelope and involve women in these meetings. There were a lot of community meetings about the water supply, water quality, how to restore the springs. And we did require that half of the participants in these planning meetings were women. And so that definitely made these projects more successful, and a lot of the time was spent in planning. Probably about a year to a year and a half would be spent planning the systems, and then we would help facilitate the implementation or repair, because a lot of these areas had these what they're called spring boxes, and that's where the water source is from, but they needed to be repaired. So this is an example of a community workshop, getting the women and men out to help repair these areas and to provide the clean water to the villages. And through this program, we worked with about 8,000 people over about 5 years. The other program that we helped with, water and sanitation program, as I mentioned here with the Tippy Tap, this was done in schools in 36 villages, working with about 16,000 children and adults. And we focused this program on schools because we wanted to work with children, and then the children then bring that information back to their household. And you can see here the little lever, foot lever, so that you can get the water without using your hands. And we developed this curriculum for the children. I was actually able to see that when I visited. It was about a 3-hour curriculum that included some songs and games around hand washing, and then the children would break up into groups and actually build the tippy taps. Then they would get inspected to make sure that they were built well. This ended up being something that was taken home, and this here is an example of a visit to one of the children's homes to see a tippy tap they had built at home and make sure that it was being used correctly. So this is a very successful program in terms of sanitation. We were able to do follow-up with all the schools we worked with and found that through the program there was a 44% increase in hand washing through this particular program. All right, so I'm going to move to Tucson to give a little bit of my story. This is a picture here from around 1900 of the river that used to flow through Tucson, the Santa Cruz River. And unfortunately, the river does not flow regularly anymore. Tucson is actually known to be, in North America, the area with the longest standing settled agriculture. And it was at the base here, you see a little bit of a mountain here, the base of this A mountain is the area that was known to have the longest standing cultivation. And it was because of these water resources here. So just wanted to give you a little bit of a picture of this river, and then a few pictures of how most of the creeks and rivers look today, which is dry. So this is a huge issue. I'm originally from the East Coast, a little bit closer to this area, where there's a lot more water, and when I moved out to Tucson, it was a big paradigm shift for me to move to a community that used to have rivers and lost them. And I really wanted to find out what people were doing to address this issue. How did we get to the point that we lost our rivers? And what can we do to reverse that problem? Here's a picture of that same area with flow, with water in the river. And right now in Tucson, the only time that you see flow in the rivers is after rainstorms. So it's not like it's always dry, but it's dry most of the year. And right now after rain, that's when you can see what it used to look like with rivers flowing. Here's a picture at my home with my husband. And we're out enjoying the rain. Every time it rains in Tucson, everyone's out enjoying it. And what's really amazing about Tucson, even though we are in the desert, we get 12 inches of rain a year. And the amount of rain that falls on Tucson in a year is more than the amount of water that we use through the municipal water supply. So what that means is there is an actual supply that we could be tapping into that could be meeting most of our water needs, but currently a lot of that water is just evaporating, running off the landscape, not being used. So Watershed Management Group is helping build the capacity of people in Tucson and actually throughout the West to do water harvesting. How many of you have heard of water harvesting? Great. Yeah, all right. Yeah, because we are helping do some water harvesting work in India as well, and I know that that's definitely a practice. That's a traditional practice in India and a lot of places in the world. And that's collecting rainwater where it falls, and that can be done through earthen structures. So here's a picture of some women at a workshop where we were creating basins, rain gardens, where the landscape itself captures rain. And here's a picture of a landscape that has just received rain, and you can see the features are collecting rain, and that actually waters the plants instead of us having to use city water to water the plants. You can also collect rainwater through tanks or cisterns. Here's an example of a tank design that's found in Tucson. It's a steel culvert design, but there are many different types of tank designs. There are plastic tanks. A traditional type is ferrocement, which you can find in a lot of communities. I know those are very popular in India as well. So we teach people how to construct these tanks, and we put them in through community workshops. And then that rainwater can be used to offset our outdoor water needs and indoor water needs. In my yard, we use the rainwater to grow food. So we have a vegetable garden in our yard, and we're able to use that rainwater instead of the municipal water for our food supply. And then you can drink rainwater as well. So here's a picture of our educational center in Tucson. And we recently just switched over to meet all of our water needs from rainwater. So that's both indoor and outdoor. We're standing next to a tank, an underground tank here that captures water from our roof. And we're meeting all our outdoor needs, including a vegetable garden and a fruit orchard, and then all our indoor needs as well. And we're doing that with just, as I mentioned, 12 inches of rainfall a year. So that's a huge accomplishment. What we're trying to do is provide a model for the rest of the city of what they can do to better utilize our water resources and reduce our demand on our groundwater. Ultimately, that helps bring back the flow of our rivers, which have been lost due to all the groundwater pumping in our area. So it's a really exciting program for us. We've set a vision as an organization that over the next 50 years we'll be working to restore flow to our creeks and rivers, and through building the capacity of individuals at their homes, at schools and businesses to use alternative sources of water. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lida. Now I would like to give the floor to Olga Janaeva, who is the director of the Association of Rural Women of Kyrgyzstan ALGA, based in Bishkek, but working a lot in northern Kyrgyzstan. Of course. You need to click on it to have it green.
Good morning to everyone, and I would like to bring you warmest greeting from Kyrgyzstan, that is a Central Asian country. And it's a great honor for me to be here and to share with you with our story of participation in this unique project of women and water in Central and South Asia. My name is Olga Janaeva, and I represent a team of Rural Women's Association ALGA in Kyrgyzstan. We are working with rural women, and we work for the improvement of social and economic status of rural women in our country, especially vulnerable groups of women. Those are young women, single mothers, widows, mothers with many children, and for rural women. For many years we could see that women in our patriarchal society really lack human rights, and they really lack participation at the decision-making level. And when especially it regards to the access to resources, and the main resources like water, land, some assets like finance. And we managed to obtain some knowledge and expertise in some spheres, like solution of problem of water and sanitation in our area. So in the area where we live, there is a higher level of groundwaters, and the pollution of ground drinking waters is a big issue, because the conditions of sanitation is very poor, and especially in rural schools. So school children, and especially school girls, are under great threat, because we have a rather severe winter time, and during this winter time, girls had to use these toilets that are out of rather far from schools. They are not clean, they are in a very bad condition, and they are not safe. And that is like a very big discrimination against girls started from school, and it is also a great threat to their reproductive right. So we want to know knowledge about this innovative technology like Ecosan technologies or dry toilet. So it is a kind of construction that that does not need fresh water. And at the same time, it preserves the groundwater, and the waste of this dry toilet can also be using appropriately, can be used in agricultural activities. When we became one of the network members of this project, it was a great honor for us to share this expertise with our sisters from different countries. So the first conference was in Bishkek, and we managed to bring the whole delegation to our village, where we managed to construct this Ecosan toilet, and it is the first this type of toilet in our country, because it is inside the school, and also the hand wash facilities were created for school children. And so we are very much concerned about the replication of this experience in our country and maybe in other countries as well. So it was also like a great experience for us to participate in the second conference in Mumbai, in Panchgani, to learn to see how rural women, how communities manage to solve their water problems, and it was like a great experience. And for some of our team, it was really first time to go abroad and to try the airplane. And it was also a great inspiration and encouragement for the capacity building of our organization and for leadership development of the organization. And it was also like a very wise and very creative approach to make us use a video while working with our rural women, because using video we learned more about the situation of women, about their lives, about their needs and their aspirations. And we used this data and in our advocacy activities at the country level and even at the international level. When last year our country reported on the universal periodic observation, and we spoke about the situation of rural women and their access to water resources. And then we also, for the first time, we participated in the development of the alternative report on the implementation of the Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination in Kyrgyzstan, or CEDAW, for CEDAW committee. And so on Article 14, this article is especially on rural women, and so we dedicated our report on the situation of rural women, water, and their living conditions and sanitation. And so it was to our great proud that at the beginning of 2015, our government reported on the implementation of the CEDAW Convention in the country, and we also made our shadow report. And so in the recommendation of the CEDAW committee, so there was especially pointed out those recommendations that we provided in our shadow report, that is to improve access of rural women to water, sanitation, and to improve living conditions and conditions for economic activities for rural women. So I would like to add that we have now a lot of materials through this video data and video film making, that we have an idea to develop it further and to make a collection of women's lives and to see and maybe to monitor how women's life will change for a period of time. And we hope that we can bring this new knowledge and experience that we managed to obtain from other countries and to bring it to our rural communities. And I would like also to share that personally our team has grown considerably during this 3-year period. So our team consists of young women. Some of them became really activists and leaders for the community. For example, Asil Dumganaeva, while working with women and sharing her knowledge, she was nominated by the rural community to become a candidate for the local election for the next year, to become a member of the local council. And local council is a very powerful structure in our country, in our self-governance structure. Nazira Jabakova, she also obtained leadership skill, and she became, she was very shy, but now she obtained a lot of self-confidence, and she started to run her own small enterprise. And I think it is very good for her economic independence and for realization of her personal potential. Aizhamal Bakashova, she was also nominated to become a member of a civil society council within our Ministry of Economy, and just last month she was elected like a chairperson of this council. And to see all of these changes, the increasing of leadership within our team is, I think it's thanks to our participation and sharing within at the Central and South Asian level. And we are very much looking forward to find ways to sustain our network, because really we became like one family. We shared our experiences, information, knowledge via our Skype conferences and visits of different countries. And we really became very much attached to each other, and we miss our meetings in physical, so to say. And I would like to express deep-hearted thanks to the team of George Washington, or George Eliot School on International Affairs, and to the team of Marlene, Ariana, Julia, Chitra, Kayla, and many others, because they just shared their passion, their knowledge, their expertise, and this inspired us greatly in our current activities, and we are full of ideas to continue our activities and to sustain our network. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Olga. I now would like to give the floor to Mamadalieva, who is representing our Tajik association, NGO Zamin, and I must say it's a very famous NGO in Tajikistan. They were the winner of the 2012 Equator Prize for Sustainability, so they have been doing really great work in the region since several years. Muhabbat will be speaking in Russia, and I thought he will be translating in English for us.
Здравствуйте, уважаемые участники. Я очень благодарна за предоставленную возможность с этой трибуны рассказать о нашем опыте, о нашей деятельности, нашей организации.
Dear participants, good morning. I'm very grateful to be here and to talk about our organization that I represent here. The organization is called Public Organization Zamin.
В своем выступлении я хочу рассказать немного о нашей стране Таджикистан, о водных ресурсах Таджикистана, а также о глобальном инициативе Республики Таджикистан по воде, а также политике правительства о роли повышения женщин.
In my presentation, I'll be talking about Tajikistan, about some policies that Tajikistan has been implemented in the sphere of water management and water issues, and about some global initiatives that Tajikistan has also is being promoting.
А также хочу рассказать о нашей работе с сельскими женщинами в области сельского хозяйства, а также связанной с водой.
I also like to talk about our work with rural women on agricultural projects and water projects.
А также примерах наших женщин-лидеров, которые управляют ассоциациями использователей, водопользователей и достигли значительных успехов об их примере.
And about our women, the women leaders that are leading the water associations, organizations, and about those successful achievements that we've had so far.
Вот Таджикистан имеет 8 миллионов населения, как вам известно, 93% составляют горы. Сегодня во вступлениях, уважаемый Марлен, было отмечено, у нас около 1 миллиона, больше трудоспособной части находится в трудовой миграции.
Well, this is Tajikistan at a glance. So we have 8 million of population. More than 93% of our territory is covered with mountains, and as Marlene already mentioned today, 1 million of our citizens are in migration.
И в результате большая трудность, вся тяжесть работы приходится оставшимся в сельской местности женщинам.
This has a very important impact for women who are left in rural areas and who have to do all the work.
Таджикистан обладает большими запасами водных ресурсов, ледников и с огромными запасами воды, снега. И в Таджикистане, как вот известно, более 14 тысяч ледников, более 940 рек, а также озер. И
So as it is well known, Tajikistan is very rich in water resources. We have glaciers, we have rivers and lakes. So this slide gives you more detailed information on how many glaciers, rivers and lakes are there.
И не только Таджикистан по водным ресурсам занимает один из ведущих мест в регионе, в Центральной Азии, а также в мире.
So Tajikistan is not only the richest country by hydro resources in the region, but also in the
Водные
globally.
достопримечательности — это самое красивое озеро Искандар-Куль, оно находится в Заравшанской долине, и самое глубокое озеро Сарез, оно возникло в результате землетрясения. Самое большое озеро Каракул.
Just a second. So these are some of the most beautiful lakes in Tajikistan. The lake Iskandar-Kul is one of the most beautiful lakes. It is located in Zarafshan region. And the lake Sarez is one of the deepest ones, and it was created after the earthquake.
И вот водопады, очень известные водопады Сарихосо, из 50 метров не спадает вода прекрасная, и недалеко от Душанбе находится водопад Кузгар.
So Sarihasor Falls, waterfalls, is one of the biggest waterfalls in the country. It runs for, its cascade is 50 meters long, and waterfall Gusgarf is located near Dushanbe. Is also one of the most beautiful places.
По инициативе Республики Таджикистан Генеральная ассамблея Организации Объединенных Наций приняла несколько резолюций по вопросам воды. Это объявление 2003 года Международным годом воды, а также
the Republic of Tajikistan, as this slide says, has promoted several important resolutions, initiatives globally. So 2003, the year of 2003 was announced as International Year of Fresh Water. And in 2005 through 2015 was an International Decade for Action Water for Life.
Главным инициатором по решению водных вопросов по решению водных вопросов на глобальном уровне в Таджикистане происходит очень много международных конференций, симпозиумов, по решению водных вопросов. Это в этом году проходила в июне международная конференция по воде на высшем уровне.
So we, in addition, Dushanbe is also hosting several high-level events on water issues. In June, from 9 to 11th of June, we had a high-level international conference on the implementation of water issues, on the implementation of the initiative of the International Decade.
Со стороны правительства очень большое внимание уделяется повышению роли женщин. Это очень много государственных программ, приказов, указов приняты, чтобы обратить внимание повышению активизации роли женщин в обществе. Одним из них является о мерах по повышению роли женщин в обществе. Это приказ был. А также сейчас работает у нас государственная программа, национальная программа по активизации роли женщин в сфере, во всех отраслях. С 2011 по 2020 года принято. Мы, как общественные организации, попытаемся вносить свой вклад по реализации, осуществлению данных программ, а также по водному ресурсу, а также по повышению роли женщин.
The government in Tajikistan implemented and enacted several important documents, decrees and laws to empower the role of women in the society, and you see several of the most important documents listed here, including the decree of the President of Tajikistan Aizhamal to enhance the role of women in society, and a state program which is a multi-sectoral program for increasing the women's role in the economy and the society, and several other laws.
Также было принято дополнение к государственной программе по активизации женщин по доступу сельских женщин к земле.
So, and an addendum to state program on enhancing the role of the women also stipulated that the role of rural women should be increased, and the access of rural women to land should be provided.
Наша организация основана в 1999 году. Мы назвали свою организацию «Женщина-Земля».
So our organization has been set up in 1999. It's called Zamin, which means women and land.
Мы почему выбрали такое название? Это чисто символическое название, поскольку понятия «женщина» и «земля» они тождественны. Женщина кормит, одевает, земля кормит, одевает. Женщина-мат, земля-мат. И вот эти принципы составляют основную суть нашей организации, и наша деятельность направлена именно на защиту таких принципов.
So the name of our organization is very symbolic. It means that women and land, these are two symbols that are mostly identical. They feed, they provide food, they provide life, and that's why we combine these two notions in our title.
Мы работаем по привлечению женщин в процессе земельной реформы, по увеличению их сельскохозяйственного потенциала, по доступу сельских женщин к местному рынку, а также вовлечение женщин в сохранение биоразнообразия, уникального биоразнообразия Таджикистана.
So we work a lot in providing an increased role of women in the agricultural sector in the course of the land reform that is currently being implemented in the country, then to increase their access to markets, to agricultural markets, and also to help to preserve some of the biodiversity.
Здесь две фотографии привела специально. Вот это город Челдахтарон, это 40 девушек, это уникальные, имеют уникальные артемники, которые нет равны в мире. И вот одна фотография, насколько богата разнообразием, агробиоразнообразием наш Таджикистан. Вот эти фрукты только из одной простой собраны, составлены из приусадебного участка одного простого фермера. Обычного, я имею в виду.
So these two pictures are really showing the diversity, agricultural diversity of Tajikistan. The first picture shows the mountainous area called 40 Girls, and it has some really unique trees there. And the second picture shows all the diversity of fruit and that can be grown from a really little land plot of one household, of one farmer.
Мы добились каких результатов, мы очень много усилий приложили, так как земля является основным источником дохода, основным богатством. В результате нашей работы более чем 1000 женщин получили свой пай земли. Из них очень много, сегодня много говорили о лидерстве женщин, более 50 женщин были подготовлены, обучены как лидеры своих дихканских фермерских хозяйств.
So these are the results of our activity, and you see that we really focused on providing women with access to land, and more than 1,200 of rural women received their share of land in the result of our activity, and more than 50 women leaders have been trained.
Вот в результате достигнутые нашей организации результаты были признаны на международном уровне. Это нам принес международную премию «Экватор», UNDP «Экватор» 2012.
In 2012, we received as an organization an acknowledgement, a prize from the UN, Equator 2012, for our achievements.
Вода тоже также является основным природным ресурсом, что мы проводим, какую работу мы проводим с женщинами, связанной с водой. Это один из наших успехов, мы смогли участвовать, к счастью, в этой программе «Женщина и вода» в Центральной и Южной Азии.
So water issues are also part of our focus, and we've been very happy to participate in the program for women and water in Central and South Asia at the GW.
Работаем по повышению роли женщин в решении вопросов, связанных с водой на местном уровне.
So we already work with women at a local level to increase their role in water-related issues.
Так как подрастающее поколение является нашим будущим, мы не ограничиваемся только привлечением женщин, а также вовлекаем в процессе бережные отношения с водой, а также школьников в школах работаем, эко-уроки организуем.
We're not limiting ourselves only to women, we also work a lot with younger generation, with school students, and we try to implement the programs that could teach them a more responsible attitude to water use and to so that they could save water.
Вот я хочу здесь показать наши женщины, которые участвуют. Если здесь обратили, очень много говорили о лидерстве женщин, я хочу показать, вот Мамлакат здесь участница, как она тяжелую мужскую работу выполняет. Вот работа Увулоя. Если обратиться в картинках, они одни единственные в своей ассоциации женщины-лидеры. Это тоже проблема.
So these are the women leaders that participated in our project, and you can see Mamlakat, she is also a participant here, so she has a very difficult
Во
work.
время выступления отметили, что инфраструктура ирригационных систем разрушена постсоветский период. И вот наши женщины в своих единичных примерах в нашем обществе делают какие героические дела, очищают коллекторно-дренажные системы.
Today we talked a lot about infrastructure rebuilding, and I see I'm
Даже
showing
они
you.
построят дамбу по вращению воды.
So I'm showing the pictures that that all this work is being done by women mainly. So they clean the infrastructure.
Орошаемые земли, так как у нас потребителями вода используется в нашей стране от 85 до 90% в сельскохозяйственной сфере. Всего лишь 2-3% как они потребители питьевой воды. А много земли, они вышли из строя, они пользуются в сельскохозяйстве, они не используются. Вот, они
So agriculture is actually the main user in our country of the water. It uses something like 80% of the whole water use, and so many agricultural lands in our country are being not used, and so they are not cultivated, and so this shows the work of people how to restore the
Вот если
things.
обратитесь, обязательно, вчера мы говорили, вчера о методе Хашари говорили, коллективная работа, и все эта работа проводится коллективным трудом, методом Хашара. Эти старики перед каждой работой они благословляют, участвуют в процессе.
So this shows the work under the method, it's a tradition, Asab, Hashab,
Это примеры
that a
их
collective work
работы.
involving elder people.
Водораспределим вороты, это
And
приводит
this is how
урожая,
we do
обилие
all the work
Дастарханов.
together.
Хочу отметить, сегодня во выступлениях говорили лидерство, как нужно делать, чтобы женщины были лидеры. Действительно, я хочу сказать, общество еще не признало роли женщин, что они могут, пусть это в вопросах земли, пусть это в вопросах воды. Даже такие известные женщины, каждый раз, когда международный форум происходит, нам придется усилия, чтобы они попали в этом форуме. Теперь вот...
So it's really important that we had today a lot of discussion on gender equality, on how to promote the role of women, and it's really difficult in our society. It's not really recognizing that in full, and even to include some of the women in the conference as participants, we have to do a lot.
И вот на этом, в этом году на международный форум на высоком уровне участвовали все участники нашего проекта. Они выступила Мамлакат о традиции культуры народов Центральной Азии по вопросам воды. И на выставке мы организовали, на международном форуме у нас был специальный участок, организовали выставки. Вот она выступает.
So we really consider it as a success that our women, the participants of our project, they took part in the international conference at a high level, which was in Dushanbe in June, and one of our participants spoke about traditions in Central Asia, Mamlakat, and we also organized an exhibition during this conference.
В рамках международного форума проходил детский форум по воде, и мы участвовали 4 детей. Зульфия организовала. Основной цель детского форума была обсудить вопросы реализации международной десятилетия воды и подготовка обращения к главам государств, правительств и международных организаций. Вот наши дети участвовали, они смогли свой голос сказать.
So we even managed to organize the discussion among school students and among younger people about water issues, about promoting the decade of water, and so we were able to make their voice heard too.
Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much.
For the translation. Now I would like to give the floor to Mohammad Ilias Esmatullah, representing Afghan for Tomorrow, based in Kabul. Ilias was the only man, and he's the only man of our team, and I must say he played an instrumental role in showing, demonstrating how men can play a great role in empowering women. So, upstairs. This one.
Hi and good afternoon. I am Ilias from Afghanistan, Afghans for Tomorrow and Cooperative Country Director. Our organization is based in US and also registered with the Ministry of Economic of Afghanistan. In this presentation, I focus in my activities which belongs to women and young generation. First of all, I really appreciate the State Department and George Washington University, mostly Marlene, who provide us the opportunity to share our experience and our challenges with the other 5 countries to learn more about each other. Afghans for Tomorrow is a youth-based organization, and we work in mostly in education, agriculture, health, and water projects. And the organization established in 1998 in the United States. Then the office moved to Afghanistan and Kabul. All our board members are youth citizens, and they are working voluntarily for development of Afghan people. I really appreciate and thankful of American people. Thank you. 13.7 million is the total population of the Afghan women. And totally 28.1% of Afghan people are literate. Like 43.1% is male and 12.6% is female. And 25 females are working in government and private sectors. Just before explaining my activity for our project, I would like to explain a little about the challenges of women in my country. 45% women are in violence, and more than 5,800 women violence cases are recorded in the government. Nangarhar, Kabul, Herat, Ghor, Kona, Takhar, and the provinces where the women daily-wise facing with different challenges include the provinces where it's farther from the center and the government don't have the control. The women are facing with a big challenge, and they are waiting for support and peace. 49.1% of female students are not going to school for families' traditional and culture challenges. Like their families are not agreed to allow them to go to school. And 29.6% of the female students are not going to school due to economic challenges. 11.1% of female students are not going to school due to lack of school in their area. And 10.1% of the female students are not going to school due to insecurity and fighting in the area. Decision making is also a big challenge for women in Afghanistan. Like 30.6% is the unimportance of the women in the family. Like they are not important for the family. Like they are saying, okay, you're women, you can make decisions, be quiet and sit in your place. 21.5% no permission from their husband. Like their husband says, you're my wife and I'm your husband. You can't do anything, just wait until my advice and my order. 10.9% women don't know and can't make decisions. Men are the people who are making decisions. Like they're saying, like you're women and we are the men because you're women and you can't make decisions, and the men are the people who make decisions for their life. 5.7% of women are foolish. The men are saying in the provinces. They don't understand. Because they don't understand, they are foolish and they can't make a decision. 11.9% of the women ideas will be not accepted, and 15.5% men are the decision maker for their families, and 4.11% is the other cases, like we have more challenge like traditional culture and political issues. Marriage is also a big concern and challenge in our country. Like the most reason for like improving challenges for women. Like 15% of the marriages via Toyana. Toyana is cash payment. Like the parents are dealing with each other, saying, "Okay, I will give you $5,000, and your daughter is my sister-in-law," like this. And the 16% husbands is decision maker. They are making decision. Okay, I will marry with this girl, and they are talking with their parents that I will marry this girl, and no one can change my decision. 25% is exchange. They're exchanging with money, with agriculture issues, with their property, with their incomes. What they have, they are changing their program. 6.7% against loan, they are dealing girls on the loan. And 38% decision is by parents. Like the girls, they don't know, the parents are making decision, and after that they will get married. Age differences between wife and husband in marriage. Like 50%, 56% is 5 years difference. 53% is 6 to 10 years difference, and 45% is 11 to 15 years difference. 80% is 16 to 20 years difference. 11% is 21 to 30 years difference, and 15% is 31 to 40 years, and 2% is 41 to 50 years difference. Which is all is by force. I haven't seen it with my eyes. I participated in some wedding party also, which was the differences was more than 21 years old, and it was something like unbelievable. Like the mothers' ages in Afghanistan, like we have 0.8% 10 years old, we have 6.5% 12 years old, we have 30% 13 years old, we have 33.3% 14 years old, and we have 22.2% 15 years old that they are getting married. In Afghanistan, 90% of women and children are responsible to provide water in their house. Mostly the families who are living in a very poor condition. Like the people who live in the city, they have access with water pump, or they have access with the water tank. Again, the women are responsible to take care of the water issues and dealing with the necessity of the daily usage in the house. On the other hand, they don't have access with the water supplies for providing water. For this reason, the women and the children are responsible to walk around 5 to 10 kilometers to get water and to bring home and to do their daily usage. And water management is very weak in Afghanistan. There is no tension on water issues. We are losing all our waters. Like the groundwater is getting dirty every year because we have septic wells, and now like in Kabul, all the families, they have septic wells in their house, but all the septic wells are absorbing the water. Like now the water is you can't unsafe for drink, and it causes more problems, mostly in diseases, like for children and for families who are using from the water. Afghans for Tomorrow projects for women empowerment. Like since 1998 to date, about 80 different projects has been implemented by A40 in different provinces of Afghanistan. Total direct beneficiaries from the A40 project is 58,481 women and children. 37,813 health services, which is 3,846 midwife and 14,422 vaccination programs. 1,500 women were supported in education components, 500 women were supported in agriculture projects, 400 women were supported for hygiene and water issues. In 2015, 15 families benefit from hand pump and water well by community support. Totally for indirect beneficiaries are 350,886. In 2015, more than 25,000 people benefited from TP-Tap simple machine, which we learned from this project, and I really appreciate. Thank you, India team, mostly Somia. We learned how to make the TP-Tap. You ask about what's TP-Tap simple machine. This is the best machine in the world for washing the hand, mostly for a country like Afghanistan. This is a TP-Tap machine. Like we use the T4T system training for training. What I did, I invite all the people in my central office, and I show them how to make a TP-Tap. That is TP-Tap just as like a sample, which I invite principals from almost 18 government schools in my own office, include representatives from community, and I introduce them to TP-Tap and the benefits of the TP-Tap machine. Now, more than 20 schools, government schools, all females in provinces, they have TP-Tap on their school. After using bathroom, they are washing their hands, and we subtract and we support the children's health care. And this family, still there are lots of family who lives in Kabul city, but they face with water challenge. They don't have access with water. We will send the video. This woman, she's going to on the roof to take water from her neighbor. She spent almost 2 hours to fill all her water tank, then coming back to home. But what our organization did, we went to the community and introduced the family challenge for the community, because there are different kind of people are living in community. Some of them they are rich people, some of them they are poor. We provide a a new team on the community, then explain the challenges of this family for them. Then they agreed to donate for this family, like 30% our organization support for that, and 70% support came from the community. Then we dig a wheel for them and also provide a hand pump for them, like not for this family, for 15 families, and we are continuing this project for our programs. Thank you.
The fact that the Afghan team has been able to keep it up available to 25,000 persons in Afghanistan just 1 year after having learned about it from the Mumbai conference is probably one of the great successes, one of the great quantitative successes. There are many other non-quantitative successes of this project, but that's really one of the best example we have on these learning processes, exchanges between the southern country. Now I would like to give the floor to Sanaa from Hisaar Foundation in Karachi, representing the Tajikistan, the Pakistani team.
First of all, thank you to Marlene, the Central Asia Program at George Washington University, the US State Department for giving us this opportunity and this potential for collaboration between the Central Asian and the South Asian region. My presentation is about our work. I belong to Hisaar Foundation, which is based in Karachi. We actually are striving to change the water paradigm in Pakistan, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. So the challenges for Pakistan in water, food and livelihood security, there's a lack of critical thinking, there's increasing food security, there's absence of leadership, there is no agreed water policy, even though Pakistan has been in existence for over 65 years. There is no research or scientific intelligence, there's poor management and mismanagement of water resources, and there's absolute absence of cooperation between key stakeholders. Just to give you some statistics, Pakistan has a population of north of 190 million people. And 90% of surface water goes to agricultural sector, 60% of groundwater resources goes to agricultural sector, but we still have 54% of the population which is food insecure. So that's a pretty alarming situation. The vision and mission of Hisaar Foundation. Our vision is to balance environment with development through innovation. And our mission is to promote appropriate policies and creative low-cost solutions for conservation in Pakistan by working on water, food, livelihood security and climate change issues. Our existing organizational goals are to act as a think tank on water and environmental issues and to be a thought leader in Pakistan, to strive for behavioral change relating to water, food and environment, to connect government with civil society, private sector, citizens, CSO, academia and media. We strongly believe in multi-stakeholder partnerships to solve the water problems. We also test, pilot and disseminate solutions. We implement our programs through partner organizations. And of course, we strive for financial sustainability through business development. So we've been, Hisaar Foundation was originally conceived in 1999 after the drought in Pakistan. But we were officially incorporated in 2003. So this is just a list of some of our work in the last 12 years. But we basically have three programmatic streams. We create partnerships for change, we develop solutions, and we provide emergency support. So I'm just going to give you an example of creating partnerships for change. Karachi Water Partnership was a model that we pioneered. It was the Urban Water Partnership concept. We pioneered this in 2007. It takes off from the Area Water Partnership, which was conceived by the Global Water Partnership. We basically created an innovative and effective partnership amongst the city government, civil society, and private sector. The Karachi Water Partnership was actually showcased also at the 5th World Water Forum in Turkey. It has been acknowledged by Global Water Partnership as an effective model, and they are trying to replicate it in other areas. And as a result of the Karachi Water Partnership, we also formed the Karachi Women in Water Network. Some pictures from the Karachi Water Partnership. So this picture on the top left is basically the Karachi Water and Sewerage Board, the public utility. It provides us water bills to 18 towns of Karachi. So they, on their cost, agreed to print water conservation guidelines, which were developed by Hisaar Foundation. And they attached it to the guidelines and they distributed it for 3 months to about 1 million homes in 3 consecutive cycles. We developed guidelines for conserving water in homes, conserving water in schools, conserving water in offices, conserving water in industries, conserving water in mosques, and conserving water in hospitals. The picture at the bottom is actually members of our Women in Water Network who, in addition to the Karachi Water and Sewerage Board distributing the water bills, they went to households themselves and they distributed our guidelines. So the women were actually the champions and the water ambassadors in this model. Another example of our Karachi Water Partnership, we had a school program where we had better water management and water conservation trainings in schools. Okay, so moving to emergency support, another of our programmatic streams, we provided safe drinking water and food security programs in 4 provinces and 32 locations after the floods of 2010. But Hisaar Foundation doesn't believe in just immediate relief. We try to also rehabilitate and build resilience in in these areas which are affected by natural disasters. One of the solutions that we developed, school water and sanitation infrastructure rehabilitation. So we went to public government schools and did a water audit survey, and we found that this was the situation of their bathrooms. So clearly there is nothing there. So we provided them water and sanitation infrastructure and gave where schools did not have main lines to the public utility. We also got the Karachi Water and Sewerage Board to install pipelines so they could get constant supply of water. In addition, we did some advocacy and awareness raising on water conservation and better management practices. And we also provided water conservation training to school teachers so that they could then promote the message and make children also agents of change. Another, this was our success story from last year, developing solutions. After there was an extreme drought, emergency declared in 2014 in March in the Tharparkar district, which is a desert area. Also, Bhagwani belongs from there. But immediately we did give them relief, but to rehabilitate and build drought resilience, we actually developed these these storage tanks for rainwater harvesting at the household level, at the community level, and the village level. So this is just an example of the household level storage tank. As you can see, it's locked, so you cannot use it unless you have to. But there are pipes through to individual households. This is the village level storage tank before the rains. And this, thankfully, is the picture after the rain. So this has a capacity to support 100 to 125 households, and it lasts up to from 6 to 9 months. So this was one of our biggest success stories of last year. Hisaar Foundation now, because we want to strive to become a thought leader in the Pakistan water sector, we have some strategic initiatives that we launched. We launched these in the last year as well. We launched a think tank on the rational use of water. We launched a Universities for Water network. We want to launch a Hisaar Institute for Interdisciplinary Studies on Water next year. We have our flagship International Water Conference, the first one we had in 2013. The second one we just had in November of this year, and we recently launched a media campaign on water. So the think tank on the rational use of water, the purpose is to provide national leadership in Pakistan on the crucial issue of promoting the rational use of water, its improved management and providing policy directions. This think tank is actually not comprised of water experts. We have 3 water experts, we have 1 expert in the media sector. We have one in the government affairs specialist. We have a management specialist. We have an ex-finance minister. We have somebody from the business sector. So like I said, we believe in a very multi-sectoral approach and an integrated approach to water issues. So this is just one of the a picture where we visited farmers in Kasur, which lies in the on the Pakistan border, which we share with India. And we went directly to the farmers to ask them what their issues were. It was a very illuminating conversation with them. This is also just this is just the team, the think tank members. The Universities for Water Network. The vision is to develop the knowledge and skill base for water sectors as well as water-related disciplines, degrees, departments that will be required by Pakistan in the next 100 years. And one of the major objectives is to set up the international level Hisaar Institute for Interdisciplinary Studies on Water. This is just a list. We have 7 universities right now in our network which cover the entire Pakistan geographic scope, and they have different specializations as well. We are hopefully going to get some more on board this year. Some pictures from the meetings. Okay, the Hisaar Institute, we believe in a holistic approach to water management, conservation and resource development. We want to integrate engineering approaches with social development, because right now in Pakistan it is very, what should I say, it's very separated. Either there are engineering approaches or there are social approaches, but there is no integration of these. And water issues are should be taken in a very integrated approach and manner. Bringing wide range of disciplines and expertise into service for water management, and we want to devise new innovative water-related diplomas and degrees which we can then use with our needs of Pakistan's future needs. International water conferences. So the first one was in 2013 on water cooperation and action from the global to the grassroots. We align our theme for the International Water Conference with the UN Water Global dedicated theme for the year. So the 2013 theme was International Year of Water Cooperation, and the one in November was Securing Sustainable Water for All, Integration, Inclusion and Innovation. And the theme for this year was Water and Sustainable Development. Rahat, who was also one of the members, participants of this project, was featured as a woman water professional, and she also spoke about the project, Women in Water in Central and South Asia. Some pictures. Finally, moving to this project. We have 3 participants from Pakistan. Rahat worked on irrigation water management. Her documentary and her work focused around covering the issues of, in her work with the Water Sector Improvement Project, they provided washing platforms to women in rural areas of Sindh. Farwa worked on urban water management issues, and her organization also works on advocacy and awareness raising of water conservation and environmental awareness with better water management practices. Bhagwani worked on wash advocacy in rural areas, and also with her organization she worked on provision of water and sanitation facilities in schools. And they also provided hygiene and life training skills. A couple of our publications, I just have one copy right now, but you're welcome to check our website, and I'm happy to share electronic versions with you. That's it. Thank you. 29 seconds. I have one clip from our media campaign. It's in Urdu. I'll translate it for you, but I think since video is such an important component of this project. So she's a superstar of the television and drama industry in Pakistan. So we used her as a water ambassador. Simple message: water is a treasure, and we must save it and conserve it and preserve it at any cost. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sanaa, and you will see after the lunch when we will be screening the video how much this video component was indeed something important for our project. So you have seen 5 presentations about the great work done by our 5 NGOs. We have a few minutes if you have some question, and we would welcome any kind of comments, question you would have to our team. Yeah, we should have some. So there was some question there.
Hello, my name is Ksenia Mironova. I am a Central Asia Program Fellow. And my question goes to Muhammad Ilias. Thank you for your presentation. It was really interesting. And I would like to know about the sources. Like, what source did you use to present us all the figures about Afghanistan, about like the marriage of women, about the percentage? So thank you.
Let's collect several of them, maybe. There was a question there in the back.
Hi, I'm Ainabad. I'm with Turkmenistan Health Initiative, SAGLIC. I'm just wondering, nobody mentioned family planning. How does the situation with water in your countries and in the region affect family planning in rural areas? Water, reproductive health, the picture doesn't look very complete to me. Is there a trend in rural areas to cut the number of children women have? Or is the same, like for example, I come from Turkmenistan, do women do not connect those two issues like women in the West started connecting those issues? So is there a trend to keep having more children, they have potential water brides or water children or whatever we called them in the previous presentation. Thank you. If you could just, each of you reflect on that.
Hi, my name is Jane Henrici, Dr. Jane Henrici. I'm instructor with the Global Gender Program here at GW, and I wanted to thank everybody for their presentations and comment that one of the things that struck me as connecting this session to the earlier session was the impressive discussion in this session about future generations and about how you're transmitting the information that you have to younger people. And it seems to me for younger women especially, the pipeline that you're developing can connect to the governance that was mentioned in the first session as being problematic in water rights and usage. But one thing I'd really like to see is that these presentations become part of the written record as well, not just the video, and so that we can access them later. Thank you.
With another question.
All right. Hi, my name is Sarah Danke. I'm a graduate student here at the George Washington University. I had a question mostly for Mohammed, but you all are welcome to comment. You talked a little bit about the role of men in your programs. I was just wondering if you had some ways to talk to men about these issues and get them involved that was helpful and successful. So thank you so much.
And the last question.
My name is Mindy Reiser. If someone could translate to our colleague from Tajikistan. Okay, you mentioned that it was not easy to involve women in some of the meetings. What were the strategies you used to encourage husbands and fathers to be supportive of what you're doing, to give women more strength and more leadership opportunities?
So let's have a kind of general round of who would like to answer this. Yes, would you like to begin? What's the question for you?
Okay, the sources, we do also have the research department that we are doing research, and like our team is going in the rural areas and target areas, and they have papers, and they are filling the papers, meeting directly with the families. On the other hand, we go through BBC network, we go through medias like who are registered with the government. Like all my information is 100% correct. Like some sources I have the record, some sources depends on the BBC and other medias in Afghanistan. And the second question about involving men, yeah, for sure. I have my daughter, she is 3.5 years old. I am the only man in my family who supports the girls or the women, and no one like me in my home, because why I am supporting the girls? Because traditionally and culturally it's not good to support women in Afghanistan. But we need the men involvement for development of women in Afghanistan. Otherwise it's very difficult. Why I'm here, it should be a good question. Why I'm here among of this 24 women? The answer is like in Afghanistan, it's very difficult for girls or for women to leave Afghanistan without permission of their men. I'm here because I'm a good reference for my team. Sabnajan, Zainabjan, and also Sumaya, who is absent today because her mother was in coma for diabetes. And without supporting of men, the women will face a lot of challenges. And this is why we provide more development projects, like we are supporting the women in Afghanistan, and because I'm the country director of the organization. Thank you.
Первый вопрос, кажется, был связан с планированием семьи и связанный с водой. Конечно, мы работали по доступу к земле с женщинами сельского хозяйства, а специально по вопросам планирования семьи у нас есть другие неправительственные общественные организации. Их прямая задача или прямые проекты имеют, они занимаются. Мы в этом вопросе еще не работали.
Just a short translation for the question on family planning. So our organization is mostly dealing with access to land. So family planning issues were not part of our activity, but we know that there are some other organizations that are probably engaged in this area.
А также государственные организации работают.
State organizations mainly.
И второй вопрос, уважаемый, относительно как вы привлекаете мужчин, не трудно ли вот тогда, когда с женщинами работают? Дело в том, что, конечно, в начале работы были сомнения мужчин, и сами женщины тоже не верили нам, что можно добиться, получить земли женщинам. Но эта работа усилий требовалась. Женщины тогда, когда получили землю, многие мужчины вернулись из России, сейчас они бок о бок работают. Эти женщины, которые простые были, они еще далеки были от лидерства, они чувствовали, что они лидеры, что они руководители хозяйства. Даже мужья с шутей к ним обращаются Раиса, то есть моя шефиня. И это как они уже земля им принесла радость, улыбку, счастье и хлеб, поэтому мужчины не возражают, наоборот, они гордятся, что у них жены, они управляют хозяйством, семьей.
So it's a really good question, and it was really difficult to work with women to get them the access to land. But once they got their land plots, the interesting thing that happened that men started returning back from Russia, and they came back to the households where they see that their wives have become more empowered, and they're becoming the leaders in their families and with these farms, with this new activity, economic activity, and the men are really grateful for having these empowered women, because it brings more happiness and more joy to their families.
So I would like to answer on the question concerning family planning and relation to water issues. So you see, our rural communities, they are patriarchal, led by patriarchal culture and norms, and so to speak to women about reproductive health and family planning is not easy. And when we organize our meetings, workshops or training, so to speak about water issues is like an entry point for women to speak more broadly about reproductive and sexual health and rights, about family planning, about contraceptive, about safe motherhood, and this also like an argument for their husbands and for their male family members to let women to participate in our meetings, because they see that there will be no harm for women to speak just about some water issues. But if we shall directly announce that we shall speak about sexual and reproductive health and rights, so of course it will be like a great obstacle, especially for our women from religious families, from Muslim communities. It is not accepted at all. And in some our communities, women also started to think how to create better conditions, opportunities for women to have better services, like health services in rural area. And we also have innovative technologies for using solar energy, so that to create solar heating system in our village medical points where women can give birth, and where there is where they now have hot water. And you see the issue of access to hot water for rural women is also like a great challenge. And another aspect is close relation of water and food security, and this is like an issue of quality of life because of lack of access to pure drinking water and maybe lack of access to irrigation water. So we have a great problem of lack of access to food, especially of young women, and there is a high level of anemia among young pregnant women, up to 90%. And of course it is like a very bad effect on the reproductive health. And of course education, there is like a strong need to continue education around family planning, reproductive health, and how they are related with these natural resources, like the quality of water, the quality of food, and so about this. And I would also like to add that water is also like a main resource for life. It is also a resource for local conflict, especially at being like at the transboundary source. And women, as we see on our experience, could play a very significant role, like peace building and like creating a mediation between communities and conflict around water issues. But maybe that is like a separate issue.
Thank you for your question. It's a very important aspect to consider, but our organization doesn't really deal with water and health in that sense. We don't deal with reproductive health either. Our focus is more on water management and water conservation. But having said that, Pakistan is an Islamic republic, and family planning is considered un-Islamic. So to go to women and to say, hey, you need to practice birth control or family planning is something that they would not consider very welcoming. So we don't do that. Thank you.
If I can just add, and then we will stop on the issue of involving men. I think that's you want to say something? No. Okay. I think that's really a critical question, and that's really a big trend now going on in terms of working on women empowerment, is to be sure that men are involved in this discussion, because what you really want to avoid is that men feeling disempowered by women empowering, and that's really something to be avoided, otherwise you are creating kind of room for conflict. One good way to have the discussion going on is to explain that when women are able to go to work, then they are bringing money to the household, and bringing money to the household also help reducing the burden that is usually on men on bringing enough money for the whole family. And they are current anthropologists doing great research in several countries in the world in countries in the world where we are facing a radical Islamist movement and insurgencies, and showing that it's also mostly a gender issue, and that there are many kind of parallel being made by men involving themselves into a radical Islamic insurgency in the name of kind of the only kind of way or path they can interpret about reviving their masculinity. So there are currently great work that has been done about the relationship between masculinity, transformation of masculinity, and insurgencies. So just to say that the topic is really larger than just empowering women. I think we will stop here for this panel. We will now have a short break for lunch, and it will be served outside, and then we will reconvene at 2 o'clock to watch the video of the project, and our film director is here. She will be able to introduce it briefly, and then we will have the last panel where we will give the floor to all the participants. So please join me in thanking our 5 team leaders.